Yo, 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 yo. What's going on, all 255 of you listening in so far? Got a pretty good stream for you today. We're going to be welcoming in our new, excited fellow crypto OG from 2014, Shill Gates. It's clear that people are starting to wake up and notice that there's something good happening over here on PulseChain. I call it the most accessible gold rush because well, I mean, it was the only thing that wasn't, offered through a backdoor to VCs somewhere in high places and high towers. And it was pretty much just an open entry by sacrificing for the freedom of speech and the freedom of movement and the freedom to transact, which is a pretty damn good, solid foundation to start on. And if, with any luck, once Richard Hart has passed this SEC case, the rest of the entire crypto market is going to have no choice but to capitulate in on the most premier DeFi chain in existence. You start speculating on things like pegging this chain to Ethereum and the amount of money that could come in through the SEC treasury. And it looks to be a pretty exciting opportunity for anybody, small or large, with such higher price potential than I think most people are willing to admit or understand. And a lot of that is because the demand side is going to completely change once we get through January 20th of next year. So I'm pretty excited to bring on these boys. I got, True Moxie with me in the back as well, who's your basic salt of the earth kind of character, runs his own company, been in crypto for a few years. He is famously stated as, I will quote him as saying, the guy who understands LP the best is going to make the most money this cycle. And I don't think it could be further from the truth. That's something that Crispy Man from hexfire.io and True Moxie and myself took very seriously to learn at a deeper level. Obviously, this is something that Richard Hart learned years ago, right? And he just seems to be so far ahead of the game. And so here we are all trying to catch up and learn from his teachings. And yeah, I couldn't be more excited today for this stream. We're going to do sort of like a little interview session in the beginning just to learn about Shill Gates, figure out who he is, where he came from, and then we'll get into the market analysis. So if you got any requests throughout the stream, I'll be trying to manage the chat and discuss at the same time. Just throw them in there. Hopefully I can have my mods help me point out important stuff, and should be good to go. So, all right, guys. 347 live watching us across X and YouTube. I'm going to bring up the boys, True Moxie and Shill Gates. What's going on, gentlemen?
Yo, yo.
What is going on, people?
Hey, that looks like a new setup you got over there. Is that how much did that cost? How much access did you have to sell to get that set up?
Not very much. Not very much.
So
guys like mine, I paid a lot for this backdrop.
I was gonna say, how much was that grill, bro?
Yeah, that grill's probably the most expensive part there, huh?
It sure is.
Hey, in the chat there, Kels is asking where you can capture these hats. Look, dude, I got so many of these things. This is a Brian Magruder hat. Like, you got the Hex Pulse, shiny, metallic. I mean, these are like $100 hats. If you're, I don't know if they have like an actual web store up yet. A lot of the community members are getting these shipped to them, but super high quality. I'd take this one off, but I don't want you to see my matted down hair, so I'm just gonna leave it on. But I got a whole bunch of other ones over here. Anyway, if you want more information, I mean, he went ahead and made this for me. It's like a Axis Alive poster board thingy. He's got, I mean, they're awesome. They make really good stuff. So I think the intention there is to open some kind of a store as we get deeper into the bull market. But Brian Magruder 369 on X, so go check him out.
I just bribe Black Hex and pay way over market value for him.
Yeah, you're a altruistic sponsor of the PulseChain tour. Speaking of, I know Shill Gates, you like to maybe keep a low profile. I don't know you yet that much, but hey, if we can get you out to Vegas for the March 6th through the 9th conference next year, that would be pretty cool. I know it's getting more and more there's more and more excitement around it now compared to like the last couple of years because the prices are starting to ramp up.
Oh
yeah, I was gonna say I talked to SJ about this. I'm actually currently not permitted to travel due to legal reasons, but next year I'm all over it.
Well,
Well,
hopefully that all get you get through this, and yeah, I don't know what the circumstances are, but hopefully it's
No, it's all good. It's just I'm
'cause I
basically
mean,
like
coming off of what just
chained to the
happened in the last
state.
24 hours, and then now you're telling me you're chained to a state. It's like, oh, what the heck is going on here, man?
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm definitely trapped, but it's I didn't do anything. I did something that was considered black market, but it was like there was no victims or anything. Like it was just, typical Ross Ulbricht type stuff.
Oh no, not another one. Pretty soon we're saying free Shill Gates.
No,
Sign the petition at
I
freeshillgates.org.
actually no, I already handled all that. I just came home.
Perfect. Well, I'm happy to hear it. Well, hey, we'll accept you. We'll accept you in. Just keep doing good work and sharing your perspective. And I'm really curious. You've said you started in 2014. Do you want to kind of just walk us through your early years in crypto and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, so to give like the shortest explanation possible, 2014 is when I really like first dipped my toes in. I had been aware of Bitcoin for a little before that, but was always like tentative about getting in because back in those days it really was the Wild West. And when I went to do my research on Reddit and stuff, like there was a lot of posts about people getting their Coinbase accounts hacked and losing everything, and like it didn't have like 2FA and all the security that it has now. So um I made my first purchase of Bitcoin in like 2014. I remember Andreas Antonopoulos was on Joe Rogan, and that's what really inspired me to start investing because I've always been kind of a libertarian and always believed in liberty and freedom and, like you said, free transactions and stuff like that. So it was right up my alley, but I just was hesitant to get in. And when I did get in, Bitcoin was probably around 200 to $250 a Bitcoin, which is crazy now. Um, but when I really got in was with Ethereum. I started mining Ethereum probably in 2015. And
Nice.
that's when I really kind of came onto Twitter and crypto Twitter and built the Shill Gates thing, which was never a plan. I just
Mhm.
came up with a funny name because I wanted to keep up with crypto news. And by the end of the year, I had almost 50,000 followers on my original account, which ended up getting suspended by the old Twitter regime. So I've been in this game a long time. I've seen basically everything you can. And the way I explain myself to other people is I have experience in every sector except programming and development. I don't understand code. I couldn't code to save my life. But I've done trading, I've done investing, I've done marketing, I've done consulting, I've done mining, like staking, pretty much everything else you can think of in crypto, I've done.
Mhm. I also was a miner. I
Yeah.
built out a facility in 2018, end of 2018. I built out a mining facility, filled it up with a bunch of Antminer S9s, S17s at the time. A bunch of I started with my first rig. It was a 6-card rig running GTX 1070s, which was an
Yeah.
expensive card at the time, but it had an
Yeah.
edge in terms of
I had
mining power. Yeah, you remember
Yep,
that?
I had a bunch of 1070s and 1080s. That's what I
Oh yeah.
started on.
Oh yeah. That's awesome. So yeah, we have a similar experience there.
Yeah,
You
very
said
hot,
something
very
interesting.
loud.
Oh yeah, you said something interesting there. It was like you said you were buying your first Bitcoin at 2014. Obviously, at the time, nobody could have known for sure that
No,
we'd be hitting 100 grand per Bitcoin
and
today. So I'm assuming that, as with most cases, like obviously a lot of that Bitcoin didn't get held all the way through till
no,
today. Yeah,
no, I have none of it.
yeah,
I have 0 Bitcoin from back when I made those purchases. I have other Bitcoin now, but not original, like, OG purchase Bitcoin.
and like in early 17 on that same kind of thought, we were able to mine like 50 Ethereum a month if you had just like
Yeah.
10 GPUs, which is crazy to think about because that was around the same time there where prices were at $10 and then they spiked up to like over $100 and then they crashed all the way back to 50. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't know if I'm going to be able to ROI on these rigs.
Exactly. Well, that's the funny part because when I built my mining rigs, like I don't come from money. I didn't have a lot of money when I got into this. So I was basically leveraging credit to buy all these GPUs to build this mining farm. And then I rode that up through the 2017 bull run, and then everything crashed and I round tripped and rode it all the way down. And now I have all these miners. I got all these GPUs. I still have all of them, but they're
Really?
not running. Yeah, I still have a bunch of 1070s and
Too
1080s
bad we
sitting
didn't
in.
know each other sooner. I was liquidating that equipment in the last cycle because they were still valuable. Like you could have got half price in 2021. You could have got basically 200 between 150 and 210 per GP per GTX 1070, which was about half of what you paid MSRP for them.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's what I did is I went on eBay and I was getting rid of all the old cards. And
Well, I know
told
you
them,
know, like the supply shortages drove up prices a couple
oh yeah,
times, and people were paying stupid numbers for GPUs to mine and game on.
that's right. And that's what led to the crazy price appreciation of the Nvidia stock and
Yep.
AMD for that matter as well. Like I don't think people understand that, you know, video gamers wasn't going to make these companies explode in value like that. The whole GPU market was basically focused on gaming and some like 3D rendering and stuff like that for like Hollywood movies and stuff. But then that all changed when cryptocurrency mining became like for the forefront, especially with Ethereum.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good for Bitcoin in the early days, but then ASICs kind of put a stop to that, and then Ethereum came and saved the day.
Yep.
Which brings me
And
to
the
my next.
gamers hated us.
They did. And by the way, I used to play Halo professionally or semi-professionally. I was going to events all over the country, and so I am from that. I'm actually originally a pro gamer from like a decade or more, you know,
Right.
and so I know that world and I know the crypto world. And by the way, guys, crypto is a way more fruitful and fun game to play, and there's
Yeah.
so many more strategies. Like I think that's kind of like some of the best traders that I know in crypto came from a gaming background.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had I had won I think I won 40 grand in September of 2017 online playing online poker, and I ended up selling. You had to cash out via Bitcoin, so I sold all that to a buddy of mine, and then in November of that year, I ended up winning another poker tournament for 88,000. And I called my buddy up and like, hey, what should we do? And he's like, dude, let's buy a bunch of Bitcoin mining equipment. So we're running all the calculators on this stuff, and and I think we dropped like 50 grand on 28 or 30 miners, mostly the S9s, and then a few of the, I can't remember what the Litecoin
The
miners were
L3s,
called,
the L3
the
plus.
L3s. And then, you know, by the time we got them, Bitcoin had already crashed down to whatever, 3,000
Oh no.
bucks. And, you know, you're starting to run the calculators, and like, you know, electricity's costing me twice as much as what the Bitcoin is producing. Like
Yep.
at that point,
You're
it was
paying
just
to
cheaper to
mine.
buy. Yeah, you're paying to mine. It was actually cheaper at that point to like buy Bitcoin off the market than spend the money on the electricity. So we ended up unloading all of those and like kind of got burnt on that deal.
Yep.
So mining is like I don't want to go too far down this route because but it is definitely good context to have going into what we have on PulseChain, which is less liabilities, higher returns, passive income. Like this is a way better way to do crypto, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And I remember like so I've said this a couple times, but initially before Richard created Hex, he was complaining about all the hashing power that was going to waste, and he was going to create CFD to make rentable hash power for like graphics processing and stuff like that.
That's right. You know, and then this is about the time that not too long after that you came and helped design the Hex logo, right? Which that's what I learned about you is like you helped inform the design direction of the original
I
Hex
mean,
logo.
yeah, very loosely, but yeah, like basically
Hey, the
Richard,
thread is out there. There's proof.
I know. So I have like a little bit of a graphic design background, all self-taught, and
Yeah.
Richard put out like this very rudimentary early Hex logo that just looked like shit. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest.
Mhm.
And I took it and I kind of like cleaned it up and was like, hey, how about this? And come to find out, when he finally released the final logo, it seemed like it was at least inspired by what I had posted.
Yeah, that's
And he
pretty cool.
definitely saw it because he replied to it. So
Well,
like
then
I
that had
know
to have
that
made you feel some sort of like ownership kind of over the Hex brand, at least a little bit. Did
I
that not
did,
help
and
you want
I
to get into this?
remember I remember being like the littlest bit salty that he didn't send me any, but I was just I
That's
was
funny.
just like, all right, that's cool, man. Like I just threw it out there, like trying to be helpful. So it is
I'm
what
pretty
it
sure
is. But
Richard
yeah,
didn't send one Hex to anybody on planet Earth ever.
that's what I've heard.
Yeah. Yeah. We all had to work for our bags here.
But
It's
yeah, I came up in the early days. Like I was always familiar with Richard. He kind of grew along with me and all my other friends and everybody else that was in the early days of crypto Twitter and stuff like that. So we were like a much tighter knit community back then, even if people had their own little personal beefs. So I've been Richard's been on my radar for a long time.
just reading the chat here. This we'll steer clear of the security questions and stuff. That's pretty much underwater under the bridge at this point. I think just all I'll say is that, look, if you're out there, I don't care if you're new to crypto or not, buy your hardware wallets direct from the manufacturer, period, end of discussion. And also don't question like people's integrities. Just, I think there's like a certain way that our community could better deliver the messaging we want to deliver without like, trying to tear people's names up. So that's pretty much what I'll say about it.
Well,
And I want to leave it at that.
let's just clear the air on what happened real quick without
Sure.
involving anybody else, right? Because some people didn't understand the origin story. So
Okay.
basically, what it was I made a very long tweet outlining proper OPSEC and how to protect yourself, trying to help people. And Trezor ended up messaging me like publicly, like replied, and organized this giveaway for me to do of a Trezor, and they also wanted me to review one. So they were sending me 2 copies, and I was meant to give one away and review the other one. And I would have preferred to have them send it direct because that's much better OPSEC, but they didn't offer me that option, probably because they didn't want to have the resources that had to follow up once I picked the winner and all that. So they just
Yep.
wanted to kind of send it all to me and have me manage it. And that's the only reason it was happening. And it was meant to be a gift for the holidays to one of my followers, sponsored by Trezor. Like it was all official, it was all public knowledge. And I felt like I was doing something good. And when I started getting pushback, it kind of like knocked me for a loop a little bit, because I was in my mind, I was like, I understand where they're coming from, but like the way that it was kind of turning negative towards me was like really off-putting to me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so, what's the bottom line here? I guess time will tell. Is Shill Gates a bad actor in a Hex or not? That's all we can say.
Well, that's the other thing, right? Because like I know a lot of the Hex community is not familiar with me, but like over the years, I've given away tens of thousands of dollars. Like I don't need to scam anybody. I'm very comfortable with where I'm at in life. Like it's just I would be stupid to ruin a brand that I've spent 10 years building just to try to rug somebody. Like that's not my MO. That's not what I do. I've always been about transparency and honesty and truth.
Yeah, you didn't build a hardcore 20K following on X by rugging people for the last
or
8 or 10.
just to do a backdoor Trezor giveaway. Like I haven't
Yeah.
been building up to this point in my life.
Yeah. So, well, I'm glad we could clear the air on that, and I think your value that you're going to bring to the space will be shown in a pretty short order of time. So, thanks for coming and being a part of this and sticking through the first assault, of which there'll be many more. I've been in this community for 5 years, and people assault me all the time online, and it's just like water off my back.
Well, yeah, I mean,
don't really
that's
care.
the crypto community as a whole. Like, this is not my first war, and I think that's why people
Yeah.
like I've actually just now started learning to block people. Like back in the day, I would just go to war with people for days and just like dig in and like I didn't give a shit. So like now this is like me trying to be more mature and adult by just blocking and moving on.
Mhm.
But it's tough. Like when you got people, and again, I'm not singling anybody out, but when you've got people like coming for your neck when you're only trying to do something nice, it really like just sours your mood, and that's where I was at with it last night. But I'm moving on past all of that, and I think it's best to just leave it where it is. And I canceled the giveaway, and I'm just gonna continue being a positive force in this community.
Amazing, man. That's what I wanted to hear. And thank
Yeah,
you
let's
for your
go.
perseverance. Moxie, do you have anything you want to say? Or what's on your mind right now?
I mean, we were talking about it like backstage. I had a buddy I onboarded that was like deep in the Theta community last cycle, and his buddy that got him in like had won a couple treasures through them, and he came over to like help him get set up with everything, and we're setting up this treasure, and like it was doing some weird things that when we first got it going, and I'm like, yo, where did you get this treasure from? And he's like, oh, my buddy gave it to me from a giveaway he got. And I'm like, cool, let's throw that shit in the trash right now.
Mhm.
And like, we're going to do this the right way. Like, I've, I just think that's, best practice. When you got to treat your wallet like it's already millions of dollars, whether it's
Mhm.
5, 10, 50 grand, whatever it is, right? Like, treat that like it's already done 100x or 1000x or 10,000x, because like you can't go back and redo those security mistakes you made in the beginning.
Mhm.
And so I always sit down and have these like security conversations with people when I onboard them. uh, Nobody ever wants to talk about it. Like, the security part is boring. They just want to hear number go up and, see the fat gains. But like, if you're not protecting that properly, like, you're going to make a mistake down the road and get drained. And like, uh, would just be devastating for anybody.
Mhm.
Right. And I've always been very big on operational security. Like, again, this whole giveaway came from me educating people on it. And like to this day, I still have air gapped Bitcoin paper wallets that are buried in the ground somewhere. So, like, I've been doing this for a while. I know how to move, but I figured since it was all public and since everybody saw that it was me interacting with Trezor, that it kind of like alleviated some of that concern, because I'd be a moron to try to scam somebody publicly like that
Yeah, let
when
me
I'm
say this.
a
I
ret.
don't think it was a reflection of you or your character as much as it is about some of the retards that are in this community, because we've
Yeah.
seen people get rugged time and time again. Like Pulse Latina comes to mind. Just stuff. There's been so much of that, but not as much as you'd think, like on Solana and a lot of that stuff, like those chains that are like hyper popular and like,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, that's
those are way worse. But yeah, there's been a
one of
few that have
the
come and gone.
one of the excuses that I keep hearing, and I don't mean to be negative right now, but like people keep saying, "Oh, you don't understand. Like Hexicans have been through so much. We've been scammed, we've been rugged." But like that's literally every chain. Like I've been scammed and rugged hundreds of times. Like it's just unfortunately a part of crypto. So that's not really an excuse to be negative towards somebody that's new coming in that hasn't done anything wrong yet, just because you're gun shy or you're paranoid or whatever. Like that's a real easy way to chase people off, and I don't want to see you guys do that.
So it's kind of interesting what you just said. I I can honestly tell you that, maybe it's because my risk appetite is much less than yours, but I have never been scammed. I've never been well, nope, take that back. Take that back. Story time. There was one time in my whole life that I got scammed in crypto, and it was when I was running a Bitcoin mining facility, and I bought Bitcoin with one of my investors bought Bitcoin, and then I sent the Bitcoin off to the exchange, or not to the exchange, to the guy that was supposed to deliver the miners, and it was some Indian scammer that took the Bitcoin. I never got a miner. I tried, emailing back, no response. They were really quick to respond when I went to the website, and I should have known right away because the miner was was advertising a hash rate at 100 terahash at a time when 13.5 terahash was like the norm, the S19 or the S9. And so I should have known then that like it would be literally impossible to get that kind of compute power in a machine, because it wasn't until like 4 years later that they released like the S19 that was able to do closer to like those kinds of numbers. And but anyways, that was the one time, you know, and it hurts to this day, you know. But other than that, I've kept my losses in crypto in terms of like sending to the wrong contracts and all that pretty low. So
You didn't own any FTT?
I used FTX one time to try to trade, and I could sense that that there was some kind of front running bot because I was used to, so I was trading on this is 2019. I was trading on this this exchange called Bit7, and it allowed you to do like 100x longs and shorts all the way down to whatever. And so I was going like super hard leverage with small amounts of capital to try to just catch swings on the 1 minute chart. And so on that exchange, I could get instant order execution. So where I could actually play it like a game, which is important when you're playing 50x or 100x leverage, right?
Right.
But when I went to FTX to play, like you'd hit go to like execute an order, and there'd be like a 3 to 5 millisecond delay, and I'm like, dude, this is scammy as shit, and it would fill me at a much higher price or a much lower price than when I clicked the button. So I just was done. I like 2 trades and I was done there, and I never went back, and I never bought any FTT or any of that.
That's the thing. I didn't lose money like when the exchange disappeared, but I owned like a bag of FTT, and that obviously tanked once all that came out. So I consider that getting rugged. Like,
Sure, absolutely, yeah. And then that's the thing is like coins that make it to the top of coin market cap that are legitimized by central people, they get rugged just as often as it. Look what hasn't gotten rugged. The one thing that's like getting backlogged at rank 201 on market cap, Hex.
Well, that's what's hilarious to me, right? Because everybody to this day, people are still calling Hex a scam, and I'm like, who has been scammed? Where are these victims at? Like, the chain works, Hex itself, the staking mechanism works, PulseChain obviously up and functional, doing what it's supposed to. So, like, where is this scam at?
Yeah, the contract works as advertised. It's immutable, no admin keys. You know, it exists on, it's now redundant. It's got a copy on ETH, it's got a copy on Pulse, and so it's working in 2 places at once. The T-share is working. Like the price changes.
What is your theory? What is your theory? Because like I have my own beliefs. Like I like now going back and watching the documentaries and like really digging into this stuff. Like it seems like the attacks were almost coordinated, and to me, it's like it's either that or people that just missed out and are salty and can't admit. Because like I missed out, but I'm not salty. Like I have nothing against Hex. Obviously, like I missed the boat because I was busy doing other stuff, and I watched it explode, and I knew it was too late to get in. And then like, but I never was like bashing it or calling it a scam. Like I didn't understand that, but it felt coordinated.
It's funny that you say that. I literally got off a consult today, and he's probably listening right now. And he literally said to me, dude, was there like an insider cabal in crypto that just didn't like Richard Hart, that was like coordinated and against Hex? And honestly, well, there's a couple there's a lot of things that plays into that. Now I'm gonna move away from the chat for a second. I appreciate everyone for coming. We got 736 live. Thanks for coming, guys. So Richard's launched the adoption amplifier. It was originally the name of it was Bitcoin Hex. So it was already, Bitcoiners was already going to look at that and be like, no, right?
Yeah.
Just because it had Bitcoin in the name. So that was misstep number 1. Misstep number 2, which was actually a feature, not a bug, was the website was just a cheap HTML website that looked like a scam. Whether that was design intention was deliberate or not to try to rope in a certain type of player to save them from themselves or not, that's a lot to speculation. But then the adoption amplifier launched, and there began to be the initial injection over the first like 2 to 3 days where there was like tens of thousands of ETH that was injected into the adoption amplifier. And the way that that was set up, I think rubbed people the wrong way, because what it did is it gave the market maker, the OA wallets, the ability to recycle Ethereum to protect the system from malicious users. So because the inflation was so high at 500 million hex per day for 365 days, had the OA not stepped in and used that Ethereum to arbitrage the difference of the market price and what was going on in the adoption amplifier, players that were predatory would have been able to come into the adoption amplifier and absorb tons of the supply and then dump it at market for the arbitrage. So what looked like on the surface as the OA wallet, who we don't know who it is, but was assumed to be Richard, was just recycling his own capital that he got from the community to get more and more of the supply for himself. So from the outside looking in, the naysayers were projecting their insecurities onto Richard and Richard's motives instead of looking at it for what it was. And this became very clear when the big payday event occurred the following year. And the big payday event was where everybody was guaranteed to get a bunch more hex all at once on that big payday. And what happened there was the OA accumulated this massive bag. It staked it all a day before big payday, and then it unstaked it 2 days later. This had the effect of reducing the inflation hit that the system got by a ton, which at the time people felt robbed. They're like, they were seeing these huge, massive payouts that were supposed to come from big payday. They're like, well, what the hell? Like, my payouts just got reduced by like 70, 80%. Well, what it was he was protecting the system from hyperinflation so that the price could continue to perform going into the second year, which gave us the 10,000x. So ultimately, the way that it all played out, the blockchain is speech, and the OA spoke in the way of like, okay, you guys might not be getting as much as you thought you were going to get from your payouts from the adoption amplifier because of the recycling of the ETH, and you might not have got as much from big payday as you thought you were going to get to protect the system from malicious actors who may get all that inflation and nuke it. And what that led to then was the run from 0.3 of a cent hex all the way to 56 cents, which completed the 10,000x design intention of the system. And so really it was kind of poetic. And I think, the broader crypto space probably looked at that whole thing and they're like, it's a one-man show, and they just wanted nothing to do with it. And the prospect of Richard becoming the world's first crypto trillionaire, probably some people didn't like that. And so there was clearly, because also you got to think, if you're an exchange and you're going to Richard saying, hey, I want your coins for my exchange, and he's saying, no, I'm not giving them up. Well, then they're not going to go to market and buy the 10% that the user supply is out there, because they're feeling that they're not getting a fair shake. But BNB does this. I think 97% of all BNB is held by Binance. So it's not like it's just
CZ.
It's not like it's just one coin that does this, which is where I feel like where it's unfair treatment of Hex and PulseChain and Richard versus like other things that have a stronger presence in the broader crypto space. So yeah, go ahead.
I had somebody comment to me the other day, and even just being a newer guy, like obviously I have a deep background in crypto, but like I made a post about the TVL, like the total value locked of PulseChain, and they were like, "Oh, well, if you would just remove the OA coins, like it wouldn't have shit." And I was like, "Why would I remove the OA coins from the equation? Like that doesn't make sense." And he's like, "Because they're held by Richard." And then I brought up the fact that Satoshi's wallets are included in the Bitcoin circulating supply. So why should it be different rules for this?
Yeah, and CZ's coins are included.
Right, they're all included. So like why should Hex be treated different where the OA coins aren't included? They're not locked.
Yeah, so I found this tweet earlier today. It says from Richard, be 5 years ago tomorrow. And what would you do if I told you all the people saying bad things about Hex are actually my friends and in on it, promoting through drama?
Well, let's talk about that, right? Because I am a marketer and promoter, and I have said numerous times now that I think Richard is a genius in his marketing tactics. I understand that they rub some people the wrong way, but I think generally crypto as a whole is mostly a hype-driven market. So going viral for good or bad, as long as you're not doing something actually bad, I think getting eyes on the project the way that he did was commendable, and he didn't have to use any outside people. He used himself as the influencer vehicle and basically just outrage marketed his way to a 10,000x.
Richard is the king of speculation, and he doesn't really take any offense to anything really, and that he's got like he knows who he is, and that's one thing is we can say with certainty is that, you know, whatever anyone's going to say about him, he thinks it's all good press, and that's good that you have a guy with thick skin at the head of this. He's also well funded enough that he can hire people that, you know, are going to defend, you know, DeFi and defend decentralization and winning those kinds of battles on the front lines of regulation and stuff is really going to set him up nicely to become a center, like one of the main characters, if not the main character in this upcoming cycle. And you know, there's stuff going around about you know, potentially, you know, like remember the tweet about sending a letter to CZ while he was in jail, right? How do I send a letter to CZ? So he's obviously, you know, obviously this guy is super well connected, OG Bitcoiner, knows all the OGs, you know, he swims with his whale pod. Like we're not, you know, naive to those facts. And so I think there's a lot of this is my speculation, is that this is a lot bigger of a goal to try to do something amazing with PulseChain than most people understand. And the thing I've been saying lately is how these exchanges are going to be sitting on all these P copies, and the fact that they have any value at all kind of puts them in a position where they may have to consider listing where they may otherwise not have listed PulseChain.
Right.
Because what makes more sense? Distributing users' funds to them to go take somewhere else to trade, or to list the PulseChain and have them trade those and earn fees on their exchange?
Yeah, I saw a tweet a couple of days ago, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Binance itself owns like 300 million in P assets or something like that.
They have a lot. They have at least 50 million. A lot of the exchanges have multiple, you know, deca millions or hundreds of millions of these P copies, and that's going to be a lot more on the trajectory that some of these assets are on. So I think it was very well thought out and intentional. And like when Richard talked a lot about the P copies and getting the other half for free to start, you know, a lot of us discounted those copies and just didn't see the vision yet. But now it's starting to become crystal clear that there's at least potential there for some sort of reverse rug pull where like those exchanges are forced to at least consider listing PulseChain.
And here's the thing, let's talk about the Binance rumor, right? Because as somebody that's gone through trials and tribulations in life, especially from what some would call a tyrannical government, I think that Richard and CZ potentially have a bond or a brotherhood as being two different men and figures that were persecuted by this unfair government. And I think that's where Richard's tweets came in, where he was saying that he was writing the letter in support of CZ, like through the courts, but also a personal letter to him that we're assuming he wrote, to where they potentially have struck up this relationship now. And they're both two men that have gone through something together, and they potentially feel bonded over that.
Mm-hmm. I like that. That's good. That's good speculation. That's good analysis. I'm in agreement. What do you think? What do you think, True Moxie?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think there's more going on behind the scenes than what Richard lets us on to believe. You know, and kind of like just a side note on that is, you know, Richard advertised the world's biggest airdrop. And I think last week between three wallets, you know, one of the guys, I think his name was Hodl on DBank. Let me see if I can find this guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember him.
But he had, I think he had like $54 million between Ethereum and wrapped Bitcoin in his wallet. And he came over and sold, I think, like just over 200 of the purple Bitcoin and some of the P stables, and cashed out like, you know, just over $300,000 and took it off chain. And like that hurts for a second, seeing you know, I think it was like between three wallets, it was about $1 million in some of these P copies getting sold and bridged out by big players that had never interacted with PulseChain before. But those whales know other whales that, you know, they're going to see purple Bitcoin go to $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 and be like, man, what if this actually like does go to parity? And then they're like, all right, I got to go buy my position back. And now they got to come by 5 times higher.
What also did Richard always say about freemium? He's like, freemium is the best way to, that's how he got onboarded into Bitcoin, was by connecting his GPU from his computer and start mining Bitcoin blocks on his back in, you know, 2010. And so that the freemium concept here is very powerful and part of this plan.
You know, I saw another wallet that sold this morning. I think he cashed out like right around 50,000 in PUSDC. Never interacted with PulseChain before. I think he had like 3.3 million in PUSDC. Sold it all in one shot, and it looked like he was going to bridge out. But you know, those guys are going to regret it when the prices go higher, right? Like, we need those guys interacting over here and seeing.
It's an endorsement. You know, it's an endorsement when those guys bridge in and take the money and go, because here's what people don't understand about PulseX is everything is like super bonded together, so that even if one asset takes a hit for the short term in Pulse terms, eventually Pulse does a 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 500x over the long enough time frame, and that drags those prices up in US dollar terms to like levels that they didn't even need one single buyer to take it there. Now, if you add any amount of additional buying pressure, it amplifies the pump on these assets. And that's exactly why you get a coin like Axis token, like what we built, that went from less than a penny to $98,000 a coin, is because it was built on top of PulseChain, PulseX, Inc, and Hex, which it just becomes an amp. And this is true of a lot of these coins like PTGC, UFO, and there's many more like that just have done so tremendously well because they're built on the right thing. That's why I caution people that want to build on other chains, because like, wouldn't you want to build and back it with something that's going to grow at an annual growth rate of 150% per year for a decade on average? Like, and obviously we know that it's going to go through the bubble territory where it's going to do 15,000%, you know? And so it's like, that's going to, your assets going to just get dragged up automatically, whether someone's bridging into the chain and bridging and stealing and, you know, stealing, right? Taking their value back, their free copy value back off the chain. And then they have to watch the chart go up. Dude, there's nothing more painful than watching an asset that you sold go up vertically without
so bad, dude. Like it hurts like so bad.
But you know, before I was
I was just gonna say, to your point about them like coming in, extracting their value and bridging out, like that isn't always necessarily a bad thing, right? Because now they've become familiar with the chain. They've set up all the infrastructure to interface with it. And you don't know if one day they might get bored trading shit coins and come back and say, oh, let me see what else is going on over here. I've already got the wallet set up. Like, I know how to get in and out of it. And that's why I made the video I made a week ago, teaching people how to get in and out of PulseChain, because I feel like it's important that there's that education there for people that don't know that they got all these free coins they can come grab. But I made sure to say, like, you should probably hold on to these because there's a good chance they're going to appreciate a lot more in value.
And it's important that message is coming from you, who hasn't been a fucking Hex and Pulse Shill for the last 4 years. Somebody completely from the outside that's saying, hey, you know, I vetted this chain, it's safe. You know, you probably have free copies over here. Here's how you get in and out. You know, Crypto Coffee can only make the same video so many times before it just lands with the same people, right?
But even props to him. Like, he's one of the first videos I saw when I was starting to educate myself. And I actually just did a stream with him earlier. It was recorded, so it won't be out for a little bit. But yeah, like I think you guys create great content, and like being able to just come have that content accessible for me while I was trying to learn, like get up to speed real quick, because I was onboarded by Hexologist. He commented on one of my tweets about a bunch of different picks that I had in the market, like unrelated to Pulse Chain. And he basically said, why not Hex or Pulse? And I said, I don't know, why not? Like, and we kind of went back and forth. He ended up sending me like 30 bucks in PLS. And I just went down the rabbit hole from there, dude. Like that was my onboarding. So it was like, and then being a crypto bro, like I just dove in head first and wanted to like absorb all of the knowledge I could, because I saw a real opportunity here in terms of like, this is still at the ground level. Like you were just saying, there's
Yeah.
so much growth potential either for holders or people that are building stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, I guess that's a good transition right there. Is like, you know, as you've dug into PulseChain, have you looked into like all the communities over there, and like the Atropa, the PDI, the Purple Bitcoin, the
Yeah.
Solid Index?
Here's the thing with me, right? I'm chain agnostic and I'm coin agnostic. Like I don't necessarily dive all in maximalism to anything. So I'm still invested in a lot of other chains, a lot of other projects, and even as it pertains to Post Chain, I'm getting like up to speed with all these little different factions and stuff, but I don't think I'm going to specifically join any one of them. I'll be friendly to all of them, but I'm not like, I don't really pigeonhole myself in like that.
Oh no, no, that's not what I mean. Like, you know, we've got the FUX and 2FUX protocols over here to like to gain yield on, and we've got the 9-inch decks with all sorts of yield generating tools over there. You know, we've got a lot of builders and guys, you know, bring a lot of value to this chain. Where, you know,
Absolutely.
kind of whatever you're looking for, you can find over here, right?
Well, that's the other thing, right? So, like being on the marketing end, which I've never made a secret about, I try to do ethical marketing and stuff like that. I've been taught these past couple weeks, I've spent countless hours on the phone talking to projects, just trying to understand what they're bringing to the table, what they're trying to accomplish, and trying to figure out ways to give them exposure and stuff. Like you just mentioned, UFO. I have an interview with the founder coming up at the end of the week, and I think it's cool from my perspective because like the people that have been in the community for a while can kind of get to see through me what a newcomer experiences,
Right.
and I'm able to kind of like shine a light on certain things that you guys may just take for granted or overlook because you've been doing this for so long.
100%. It'll become clearer to everybody soon enough that this external perspective of somebody who's not a maxi is super useful to vet and bring like credence to this chain, right? It can't just be the same insider group shilling
Right.
it to the outside all the time. You guys have to come here, make money, find value, and then spread that with your communities as well. And by the
And we're
way, I don't think
seeing
anything really separates Pulse Chain technically from other chains. It's just the combination of factors. Like it's a clone of Ethereum, so it's got its main twin network is the most liquid layer one ever.
right.
And I'm talking real dollar terms, second biggest cryptocurrency on planet Earth. And so they're like they're twin testicles. They're both hanging there, and they're gonna help balance each other's load, right? And
Yeah.
but technically, like it's a lot. We get to benefit from all the downstream upgrades and effects. And as a matter of fact, PulseChain devs actually solved and found errors in Ethereum that helped make Ethereum better. So they're working together to support each other and make the Ethereum system more robust at the layer one level, which is a different approach to what other chains are doing at the layer two level. And
Yeah.
and let me also say, whether it's cheaper fees, faster block times, lower unit bias, lower prices, so you can acquire so many more units. And then it's the fact that it's backed by billionaires with like a $690 million treasury as I'm speaking, as well as probably a pot of whales with an order of magnitude of billions of dollars ready to send this thing when the time is right. It's a perfect, and you got all these exchanges with multi-million dollars of value sitting on them, waiting to be turned on one day. I mean, you get past the lawsuit. This is such a good setup at such a
I
good
was just
time and a
gonna
good
say that.
price. It's like unbelievable. This is why it's the most accessible gold rush going on in crypto, and nobody wants to talk about it.
I was just gonna say, add to what you were saying, the SDC case. Once that gets lifted, I feel like that is going to be like the biggest slingshot for the market because I mean, we just saw it happen with XRP. Obviously, it's not an apples to apples comparison, but like their market went up and basically touched a generational all-time high from 2017 just from beating the SEC. And then you also got to figure like Richard is a public figure and he hasn't been speaking a lot because of this case, like doing his streams and stuff. So he's going to be back shilling and just being Richard. And I think you really see like it's primed for like a major upside. And
Well,
I
let's talk
also
about it.
think, yeah, let's talk about it. But the last point I was going to make is I don't think a lot of like I think there's a lot more people like me out there than I think a lot of Hexicans realize. Whereas I was never against Hex, I just wasn't aware of what was going on, and that's
Mhm.
on me. Like and that's why it was so easy to onboard me because once I saw it, I was like, oh, this
It
is
was
awesome.
obvious,
Like,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, and I think the other thing too, and this is something that came out of Luke Belmar's group. One of my members, he's also in Luke's group, and they're overwhelmed by the process of bridging in. Like so many people that have a lot of crypto money across different blockchains, they're just not comfortable with using bridges and using wallets
yeah,
and finding out what's the safe dex to use and where can I park my it's a very deep interconnected web of and you have to do there's a lot of work that's involved to get rich in this space,
yeah,
but green candles really are a good educator. Like if event people
absolutely.
learn really fast when the candles start to print, like this
Yeah,
XRP chart, right?
it's a motivator. Like it will
That's it.
motivate somebody to figure out how to bridge or how to set up their MetaMask to do PulseChain. And like it even like I said, the best onboarding tool is sending somebody some because when Hexo sent me the PLS, I had to go set up a wallet to even accept it. And I'm not going to turn down $30 even though I don't need it. It's like, why would I say no to that? Plus, he's
Mhm.
been cool to me, like whatever. So that got me in the ecosystem. But like you said, once you start seeing green candles and that greed kicks in from people that may not be in this community, they're gonna come running.
So since Hexo keeps coming up, let me just, dude, Hexologist is amazing. He is the OG Hexican. He coined the term Hexican.
Yeah, I
He
love
was
that
one of the
dude.
first 4 that was on stream. He's out there with his 55,000 followers running around and shit posting in everybody's threads all across X, getting so many eyes on our space. He's always done a damn good job of doing his weekly or daily streams when he's active. So mad props to Hexologist. I know I don't recognize him enough, but he has been done an amazing job at onboarding, and he's been that voice of reason, I think, for a lot of people that just people can relate to. And so, Hexo's the GOAT. So we
And I
appreciate you,
feel
Hexo,
bad,
if you're
like
out there
yeah, I
listening to this.
appreciate him so much. I always apologize to him. I talk to him almost every day now, and like, but he's followed me for a while. Like I remember he was always in my replies and stuff, but he was never shilling me. He was never shilling me Hex though. I literally bitched at him yesterday. I was like, dude, why didn't you start shilling me this sooner? And like, but he's always just been like a friendly face in my replies. But I had no idea that he was as big as he is. I never clicked on his profile to see that he had all those followers or he had the YouTube, and like that's on me. But like he was just always like a friendly face. I would see in my replies and we'd kind of go back and forth, like messing with each other. But he never shilled me until like just recently.
Mm. Well, thank for him for doing that, guys. He's now we
Yeah,
got when
he's a great guy. Like we
uh-huh.
talk a lot, and like thoroughly enjoy him as a person.
So let's talk a little bit about this ETH break. And so fundamental thesis here, I think we all ETH is going to have an amazing Q1 next year. That's the way things are looking. That's historically how it's played out, and we're starting to see Ethereum close candles above this 1,309-day weekly resistance line here. We actually created a massive wick and bullish hammer, and today we liquidated our first round of shorts. You can see that here on this graphic. There's a few more shorts between 41.11 and let's just say 41.40. So there's not much in the way of shorts here. Lots of longs here. So I get the sense that the bulls are ready to support and push Ethereum up to the next level, which should take the wind out of the sails of Solana probably in the short term, maybe 3 to 6 month time frame. And this is going to be Ethereum's time to shine. You could see that this on the linear chart here, that this 1,736 day support line has continued to hold support, and now it's starting to become parabolic. And so this is kind of the trend we're on. I would not be surprised to see Ethereum hit 5, 6, 7,000 in the coming weeks to months, and which should set up very nicely for PulseChain, which is just, you know, consolidating right here below sacrifice rate. I know I got a lot of lines on here, guys, but this sac rate is only about 25% away, and at the peak here it was only like 12% away. And so
That's nothing.
breaking this flag, I mean, this is it's next door, right? So one of the charts that I like coming back to is the wrap pulse wrap ETH ratio. Hopefully it pulls up the right one straight away. But generally what this is showing us is that Pulse is relatively strong over Ethereum. That's good because that means that the floor isn't going to fall out from underneath of us in terms of Ethereum purchasing power, right? So Pulse gaining against Ethereum like this, 60% over 200 days, that's pretty nice. That means that you could have 60% more ETH if you were just sitting in Pulse during this time frame. Now we've started an uptrend, and you know, I would expect that sometime before, you know, middle January, we're going to start to see new highs getting made on this particular chart. So in an environment where Ethereum is going higher, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, and then Pulse is going and increasing over Ethereum, PulseChain now becomes leverage on Ethereum to increase your Ethereum bag when Ethereum is now in favor. And then everything else that's built on Pulse, like PulseX, up 140% over Pulse in 353 days, like Inc, up 400% over Pulse in 342 days, like Hex, up 208% over Pulse in 93 days. These all become amplifiers of each other through this bonded liquidity web. And this is what gets me excited. This is where my expertise is in liquidity. This chain is set up to absolutely scare you guys with the amount. You're going to get so sick of making money that you're going to probably just be like, you know what? I'm going to go on vacation. Maybe I'll come back and sell in like 3 weeks or something.
Well, because the multipliers are there, right? Like
Right.
a lot of these other bigger chains like ETH or SWI or Solana, like their market caps are already so big to where like you can only get a 3 to 4x out of it, even if it explodes. Whereas like on a chain like PulseChain and some of these Richard Hart products, but also some of the new stuff being built, like the multipliers are just insane.
Yep. So just think about it like this, for example, because I know that there's a lot of people from all different levels of knowledge. If Pulse just does a 2x from here, that puts the p-hex price. If just Pulse does a 2x, that puts the p-hex price at 5.3 cents. And that means that nobody had to buy or sell or trade. If nobody bought or sold or traded Hex and Pulse just 2x's, Hex is now 5.3 cents. Just so that you guys can understand the ramifications of Pulse appreciating. Remember, the base case was Ethereum's going to go up. Pulse is going to go up more. Everything built on top of Pulse is going to go up even more than that, just by its bonded liquidity. The amplification process of this Uniswap V2 technology is what makes it so special. Richard recognized this, and he specifically built PulseX to not only use this style of X times Y equals K liquidity setup mathematics to pump the chain, but also the buy and burn on PulseX, which acts like a giant magnet in the sky that's dragging the entire system up with a forever drunken sailor buy and burn. So there's a lot of things going on mechanically here to self-balance and make this chain incredibly valuable. And with any bit of demand that comes in, like imagine some whale steps up to the plate here in the next 3 to 6 weeks, and you see a $5 million bridge into the chain. What do you think that's going to do to everybody else that's been sitting on the fence?
Yep.
It only takes one guy to do it. Who's going to be that guy? Who's going to be that
There's
guy that's
people
going to
watching.
bridge in $5 million of stables buy half of that with Pulse and sit it in the ink farms and start earning $290,000 a week in passive income. Because the guy that does that first is going to start a domino effect of dozens or hundreds potentially of guys that's going to come in to do the same thing.
Because people monitor this type of stuff all the time. Like they're looking for where the money's going. And if they see the money flowing into PulseChain, even if it's just one wallet, like they're gonna think somebody's front running something.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Blockchain is speech. Richard's been trying to tell us for years, blockchain is speech. And we're about to, and what the blockchain is speaking to us right now is that we're about to clear the highest ever levels of on-chain value. We're sitting at 170 million, guys. The highest number I saw on the launch of PulseChain was $178 million. So we're close. Now I can bring up some more data here on the bridge. Thanks to Water over, he's got a Dune Analytics page. Let me I'm going to only put up stable coins and Ethereum bridged in. That looks like a bottom to me on TVL. This is the TVL of bridged in stablecoin liquidity and Ethereum from Ethereum on the PulseChain bridge now. That is about as round of a bottom as you can get. And we just made a low, higher. This is your high. Here's your low. Here's your high. Higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. This is a technical uptrend that has been started on TVL on PulseChain.
Yep.
And we're doing this at SAC prices, not 40% above SAC prices like it was up here. So the chain is getting more liquid, more vibrant at a time when the prices are still lower than they were back here. That's a nice setup for big money to come in and play.
Yeah, it's so early. Like you just look at all these metrics and it's like, even just if you want to like super simplify it, look at the all-time high of Hex and then look at where the price is right now. Now, I'm
Let's do
not
it.
saying it'll necessarily reach that again. But the point is that it can. You know what I'm saying? Like it's been there before. That means it can get there again.
That's right.
So
we did this with effectively, let's just say a hardcore base of 60,000 users. We did the 10,000x, and now we can see in the adoption metrics, Hex stats, I think is the name. Shout out to Gold Key made this site. It's pretty cool. Let's see, show all time, show eHex. Look at this is where we're at right now in terms of like it's so we did the 10,000x. We did this. Oh, wow. Wrong color. We did. All right. All right. Now we're good. We did this we tapped out around 300,000 holders, but I would say there was between 60 and 120,000 actual users. Maybe there was 40 to 60,000 hardcore hexagons during this run up. Well, now we've came back here and now we have this huge new base of users that might not even really like Hex that much. They might only be in PulseChain, or they might be in some other altcoin on this chain, or they might be farming somewhere. The pie is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, which sets up much better for price appreciation of everything because of the amplification effect of all these bonded pairs. And I'll see if I can find any user stats here. Holders. So, I wish I could cut off maybe the beginning here, but you can see that the general trend here of holders on both Ethereum and on the Pulse Hex is up and to the right.
Yep.
So so we're seeing it in the staking behavior as well. Like if I show stakers, let's see, PulseChain launch. Yeah, so this is both of them. Apparently nobody wants to stake on Ethereum, which makes sense because it costs like a retarded amount to stake over there. But that doesn't mean that, that chain right now, it's basically a glorified meme that has pump potential because of its illiquidity over there. But then this, this is an up into the right trend, guys. So,
well, that's another point I wanted to bring up, because I'm not trying to get this debate going, because I already learned the hard way that you don't get involved in this debate, right? But like I've had a couple people of like my old OG friends that I've tried to onboard, like by me reaching out to them, and a lot of them try to tell me, oh, Hex is in a downtrend, and they're looking at the EHEX chart because they don't realize PHEX is the new Hex. Like they don't even know that that happened. So I
Mhm.
think there's a lot of people out there who may actually be looking into Hex, but they look at the wrong chart and they think that it's doing terribly.
Yeah. Well, there's so much to this, right? So, I would consider myself and especially Crispy Man experts, and he's from hexfire.io. You definitely got to stream with him, experts on this particular topic. And so there's a couple ways to measure both hex and ehex's relative performance. And the number one thing that I like to look to is I go to GoPulse and I look at what's the combined price, because effectively what you had when PHEX got made was a carbon copy of the same contract. Now they're running in parallel and they have two separate T-share rates and stuff, but the combined price is sitting at 3.32 cents. So if we go to the original hex chart and we throw 3.32 cents on the chart, this is assuming that you were here, 323, boom. The combined price is actually still 438% higher than where just the simple EHEX price is. So
Right.
effectively, I mean, you basically have to, if you're holding both coins from pre-fork, let me just put it into a nice and clear image for people. Like you're basically up here. You're way up here. And so when you look at that on the thing, okay, so what's the actual OG hex chart down? It's still down 93%. So the opportunity still isn't gone. If you consider the combined price, it's still up. So this is what's weird is it's up combined 31x off the bottom on EHEX, and it's down 93%. What a freaking crazy chart. Like, oh my gosh. And so then there's ways to measure these relative performances, right? We see PHEX with a brand new chart trying to break out and test this wick high from the launch. I mean, it's basically playing with the weekly resistance here currently. You flip this as support, and then 3.5 to 4 cents is on deck. All right.
Yep.
EHEX, forget about measuring it in dollar terms. Is it storing value against the gas token Pulse? And the answer is yes. This is the EHEX wrap Pulse ratio chart. Currently, it's sitting up, I think it's like 3.3x. Let's check. From candle body close to candle body, 331%. That's a 4.3x. If you were ratio trading this chart over time, you're storing value and you're multiplying your bags against Pulse. And Pulse is the money market. That's your basis, like 150% per year for a decade. You just have to beat that number of annual growth rate with any combination of hedging, whether it be farming, hex staking, ratio trading, DCAing. Like, take your pick. The market is vibrant. There's so many opportunities in here, and EHEX is showing you that it's storing value against Pulse perfectly fine. It's back above the breakdown level from the Richard Death tweet, right? And then to take it one step further, here's the big contentious thing, which is EHEX PHEX ratio, where honestly, EHEX is getting smoked. It's down 82% against PHEX. But if you played this and ratio traded it, you could have doubled your bag. You could have doubled your bag. And you could have doubled your bag. So this is giving you 3 chances to double your PHEX bag by ratio trading EHEX. Now, eventually what this does is, I don't know if PDI is going to peg, if RapidTC is going to go eclipse the price of a Bitcoin, there's no world in which EHEX doesn't at least take a stab at creating some sort of formidable range against PHEX at some point, which means this is still undervalued to me. These are my opinions, guys. So, I've been in this game long enough. There's opportunities in these charts. And so poo-pooing any one which way. I mean, this is a little bit more advanced. So if you're new to the space, just focus on, you should always start with one T-share. Get one Hex T-share. If this is the first thing you ever buy into in this ecosystem, one Hex T-share on the PulseChain side. And then that'll be there hedged. That's going to be working for you for 15 years. And then from there, you can learn that everything else that there is to learn, like what we've been dealing with for the building up and learning about and developing over the past, 4 and 5 years.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think the point I was just illustrating was for the normie investor that's just coming in or that's been in crypto but doesn't know what's going on in Hex, when you tell them, hey, Hex is doing really great, and then they go pull up an eHex chart, they're just gonna look at that and be like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, but that's what I've been running into with my I don't want to call them normie friends, but normie to PulseChain and normie to Hex. Like when I try to shill them on it, they go, "This is a downtrend. Why are you shilling me this? Like it's not doing well." And it's because they don't realize anything that you just said, but also they don't realize that we're talking about different assets.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's right. And I don't know about you, but I would much rather buy a red candle than a green one, unless I'm catching a breakout before it's about to go do multiple X's, on the fly. But that's a bull market buy. But like value buying when things are, or in value investing when things are deep in value is a much more profitable long-term strategy. And like there's people that have been vocal about this, like your friend Sami, who's been vocal about, and also Hans, these guys are like, they like to buy red. They don't like to buy it when it's green. And so, the whole idea of like, all those guys that's coming at you about Hex being in a downtrend, and I'm talking about the eHex, they're obviously buying, or they're buying the breakout, because you're seeing that through the MetaMask posts about Hex is the top 5 traded asset on MetaMask.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like that's super impressive. Because like, all right, let's say you call it a ghost chain, right? Or a ghost coin token, whatever. Like the fact that it's ranked top 5 on MetaMask is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you're not even, factoring in that, that bridged in liquidity to PulseChain has a lot of value will come from eHex pumping. When eHex does a 5 or a 10x, 20x from here, that gives a lot more bridged in value from Ethereum to PulseChain.
That's
and
right.
gives it more liquidity on both sides.
Thanks for bringing that up, and I'll bring that up again here. Look at the bridged in eHex, 7.3 million of them. That makes up $45 million of this bridged in value. And so what happens here is Ethereum people, normies on that, like the normies of crypto, right? The Ethereum guys, those guys are going to bid up the eHex price, which is going to virtually lend value to and purchasing power to the believers in PulseChain. So being in eHex from the bottom, and then knowing how crypto operates, like those guys are going to pump the eHex price, right? And so then that's going to, like you're seeing it here in this graphic, like this is the number one most amount of value bridge into this chain it's coming from eHex, right? So this means that because remember,
rotating.
It's not you don't denominate decentralized cryptocurrency in terms of dollars. You denominate it in terms of units and purchasing power. And so what this is doing is it's virtually lending that unit gain to change the ratios on other coins that you may like as you rotate out of eHex and into something else.
Yeah, it's all about the rotations, because like that's what we see in the greater crypto market as a whole. Like Bitcoin pumps and then it rotates and those profits flow into other things. So like eHex pumping is beneficial to the PulseChain ecosystem as a whole.
Mm-hmm. So we've been going for about an hour and 18. It sounds like this is going to have to be something that we come back and we do, multiple times over. I have to be, we'll give it another 12 minutes. And then I have my Monday night private session over at accessalive.com coming up. We're going to do a deep dive market analysis and answer questions and take chart requests. So if that's something that's interesting to you, go to check out accessalive.com/memberships and see if you're interested in trying out that pro membership. Cancel at any time. I think True Moxie can speak on the quality of the thing. He's been in there for over a year now, I think. So, and then we'll cover a couple more charts and we'll wrap it.
That group isn't, what most private groups I would consider are. It's more of a think tank of a lot of brilliant minds on PulseChain that bring their ideas together. If you go find a new coin and you take it to the boardroom, somebody's already researched it and can tell you whether it's a good buy or not.
Networking in crypto is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
there's so many guys that have come in there and be like, because I get it. Like I'm the type of guy that feels like I can figure it out myself, and I don't want to pay somebody else to join a group. But if that's not you and you're looking for like interesting insights and people that are gonna like vocal battle each other over the legitimacy of a coin or whether or not it's interesting, or think tank about things and challenge each other and improve each other's position in the chain. And if you want a team to help accomplish your crypto goals, like that's something that we're really proud of over there. And by the way, in the last 24 hours, Brandon Davis, who was previously a board member, and KG from Internet Money was also previously a board member. Both of their coins all-time high against their counterparts. So Morpheus all-time high against DragonX, and Time just all-time high against Pulse just now as we're speaking here on stream. And this is coming at a time when this particular coin, Time, it pays you Pulse just for sitting on the coin. You don't have to stake it or anything. And that what makes that so they're coming out with a DApp where you can actually get quotes and do swaps outside of the Internet Money wallet. So if you like MetaMask or like Rabby, or you like some other wallet, you can go to their website and use their aggregators called TimeSwap to swap. And the reason why that's important to time holders is because now you're going to get the volume from people who use other wallets, not just people who are swapping inside of the Internet Money wallet, because wallets are a touchy subject with a lot of people. So I think that was a really important innovation to see. And so to see them get a pump here going into that launch is pretty exciting.
Great guy too. I've been talking to the founder a lot, and he's a really stand-up guy, and he's really like a true believer in crypto, and he's really creating products that he believes will help foster adoption.
That's right. He really believes in his product too. You can tell he's very defensive of it and believes in it more than anyone else, which is important in a founder.
I agree.
So do you want to go out on anything in particular? What's on your mind, Shill?
I think for me, like my main focus is this SEC case. I've been stacking as much. Obviously, I'm a little late to the party, but I don't believe it's late by any means at this point. Like there's still so much upside. I think I'm really looking forward to the resolution of that. And that is going to generate what I believe to be some pretty insane pumps in a broader bull market as a whole.
Yeah.
Like we're already seeing an uptrend, and I think the sky really could be the limit once that those chains are lifted off. So I'll just show myself real quick. I'm Shill Gates on Twitter. I don't have anything else to promote. It's just me. I don't have a whole lot of other social media, so watch out for anybody pretending to be me or trying to scam. Like the main place you'll find me is at Shill Gates on Twitter.
Yeah, and if you guys are seeing, if you're seeing my name or Shill Gates' name or True Moxie's name in your DMs, it's not us. Do not respond to it. It's not us. We're not trying to talk to you. No offense. It's more just a precaution. If we want to reach you, we'll call you out publicly live on stream. So
yeah, I do every once in a while hit people up for feet pics, but
that's
aside
right.
from that.
True Moxie, what's your lasting thoughts on where PulseChain is, where it's going? You were quoted as saying, "He who understands liquidity the best will be the biggest winner this cycle." You want to elaborate on that, and then maybe we'll close out.
Yeah, I mean it. PulseChain is completely different than through the gas fees. Like we're able to provide liquidity and earn fees over their enter and exit positions in a different manner than like let's say you can on Ethereum, just because gas is so cheap over there. And that's a way you can compound your bags and not hurt the charts and the things that you like as much. And so like there's so many different aspects of crypto to understand besides TA or all the different things. So I think like understanding liquidity, if I was going to focus on something like liquidity providing, would be a major one to get your focus into. And then I dropped a link in there.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should
yeah, we should probably talk a little bit about this quick. So since this is a new development, this is in regards to the PulseChain Tour meetup and conference in Las Vegas, March 6th through the 9th. We're happy to announce that the first prize at the golf championship the Pulse Masters Golf Championship is going to be a full access token. Last I checked, it was like around 47 grand per token, with plenty of liquidity to do what you want with that. So, you know, we're very proud. I'm very super proud of this token. It started at less than a cent, peaked out around 98,000 back in April when the Solid Index got launched, tanked all the way down to 7,000, and now has rallied all the way back up to around 47,000 with a recent local high of $56,000 per token, and about $3.5 million of liquidity on the books. And so, you know, it's crazy to see a token go from $1,200 a token, or I'm sorry, from $1,200 a TVL to these kinds of numbers. You know, couldn't have gotten here without the support of all you guys out there. You know who you are, large players that were willing to put their belief in something bigger than themselves and become the most refined set of holders that I've ever been a part of, besides maybe the Hexagon staker class, which you know who you are. So we appreciate your support. We're giving away one of these tokens at the Pulse Masters. Hopefully by the time, what's that?
Only first place gets one token.
That's right.
The other prizes are going to have to come from other communities. And the entire purpose of this is to get the golf community and people outside of PulseChain, no coiners. I mean, our hope is like to get professional golf. And I've been reaching out to like some of the biggest golf YouTubers trying to get their attention on this. I hope the people that show up and win this thing are, you know, they've never set up a wallet and they've never owned crypto before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, imagine getting like some semi-pro or, you know, PGA Tour guys that like,
or some YouTubers or, you know, semi-pro YouTubers to come and film it and try to connect the golf community with the PulseChain community. And I think these types of outreach are important, that we host these kinds of events and we support these kinds of events so that we can give people a reason to give a damn to learn how to install a wallet and learn DeFi. What better way than to try to get access to 100 grand by March and give away a full coin to the winning team.
That's really cool. And congrats on all the success. Like, that chart's impressive.
Heck yeah, man. We just launched a new contract called Alive, and it's basically it's effectively a lock and burn contract, kind of like Hex, that, you know, you basically commit access to the system and then you get back alive. And so I have high hopes for that. It's the first ever free market floating rebate mechanic where you can come in and you can buy $1,000 of access right now, commit it to the system for 8 years and get 64% of your money back right on the spot, and then have 13th, or you can have well, let's just do the math here quick so you can get it quick figured out. So if you bring in, let's see, if you bring in $1,000 and you lock it for 20 days, which is the max, which is 8 years, you get back $600 of that $940 immediately. And then you in the future, you have half that coin locked, which is $470 plus the Alive end payout, which is sitting around $2,800 at current prices for an estimated ROI of 620%. So this leverages locking and burning and scarcity, and a diamond-handed whale class that's motivated to solve the demand problem in cryptocurrency and pay people to onboard in and to give them an instant rebate as a reward for learning how to use DeFi, making their first purchases, committing to something, and growing the ecosystem. So we're super proud of this.
That commitment is a crazy feeling. I made a tweet about it. I did my first 5555 hex stake, and like, I didn't expect there to be a feeling associated with it, and there totally was.
Yeah.
And it kind of like you're like immutably bonding yourself to crypto for the next 15 years.
Dude, it's so true. And I remember that the first time I'm with you, dude. When you see that green line come across the bar that green bar come across the top of the screen on go.hex.com the first time, you're like, dang, I feel good about saving money for the long term as a hedge against inflation and currency debasement. And that, you know, even if just Hex just doubles in price or triples in price from now to then, plus I get 6 times as much units, I feel pretty good about that. It's a good hedge. So totally agree that this system is aligning people because it's all on the basis of monetizing time. And what do we all share is our time. And what do we all not have enough of? It's time. So time is the neutralizing force on our planet. And this system monetized that in the best, most immutable, no admin keys, indestructible sort of way for the long term. And so that's why we're all here. That's why we're Hexicans. That's why we believe in this movement. Thank you so much, guys, for coming to the stream today. I hope it was a blast for you guys. I know it was for me. And hope to do this again soon.
Absolutely. I had a great time. Thank you for having me.
All right.
All right. Peace.
We'll see you guys. Peace.
Bye, guys.